dehumanized political opponents, forces that historian Richard Hofstadter would write about a few years later in The Paranoid Style in American Politics when describing the angry passions that animated Barry Goldwater's 1964 campaign. Updated versions of Goldwater's right-wing tropes energized Trump's most rabid supporters in 2016 and fueled their invasion of the Capitol building on January 6, 2021, a vain attempt to keep their hero in power. Despite Mailer's fascination with America's dark side, he was also entranced with the utopian river that animated the most idealistic aspects of Kennedy's legacy. Aspirational visions that would nourish social change movements in the ensuing decades, many of which were at the moral core of the resistance to Trump, a project in which artists and performers played a significant role. This is not to suggest that all art is inherently progressive. The nihilism that animated Trump and his supporters owes a great deal to Ayn Rand, whose novels The Fountainhead, 1943, and Atlas Shrugged, 1957, presented selfishness as a virtue. As Lisa Dugan writes in Mean Girl, Ayn Rand and the Culture of Greed, quote, "The lessons for the student reader are: reason is superior to mysticism/religion, egotism is a truer morality than altruism, and individualism leads upward and forward via capitalism, while collectivism leads down and back to socialist barbarism," close quote. Among Rand's acolytes was future chairman of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan. In 1974, Rand attended Greenspan's swearing-in as Nixon's chairman of the Council of Economic Advisers. In 1982, Greenspan attended Rand's funeral, at which a floral wreath was shaped like a dollar sign. Decades later, Trump's Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, acknowledged that Atlas Shrugged, quote, "really had an impact on me." And The Guardian reported that Trump himself, not known as much of a reader, enthusiastically stated, quote, "The Fountainhead relates to business, beauty, life, and inner emotions." In the libertarian cosmology of Rand and Trump, the most important thing in life is to avoid being a loser. A contrasting philosophy can be found in a scene in Casablanca where Humphrey Bogart tells Ingrid Bergman, quote, "It doesn't take much to see that the problems of three little people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world." Or in Springsteen's oft-repeated exhortation to concert audiences, "Nobody wins unless everybody wins." Over the years, politicians have periodically acknowledged the unique role of art in transmitting political morality. As far back as the 17th century, Scottish politician Andrew Fletcher wrote, quote, "If a man were permitted to make all the ballads, he need not care who should make the laws of a nation." The idea was that once public opinion reached a critical mass, political leaders would feel compelled to follow. President Kennedy once said, "If more politicians knew poetry and more poets knew politics, I am convinced the world would be a little better place to live." During the last years of Pete Seeger's life, he often told audiences, "If there is still such a thing as the human race 100 years from now, music will be one of the reasons why." To be clear, Seeger indicated that music would be one of the reasons mankind might survive. Art and entertainment are not in competition with politics, philosophy, or theology. They are intertwined. Shortly after the 2020 election, Barack Obama was interviewed by The Atlantic, and he discussed the ideal of American manhood by juxtaposing his successor's values to the personae of iconic movie stars. Obama compared Trump to a comic book character, quote, "I thought the model for conservatives wouldn't be Richie Rich, the complaining, lying, doesn't take responsibility for anything type of figure." Obama contrasted that lame character with the virtues of characters played by, quote, "the John Waynes, the Gary Coopers, the Jimmy Stewarts, the Clint Eastwoods. There was a code, the code of masculinity that I grew up with that harkens back to the 30s and 40s and before that."